How we met. Bazario Mwanza.
Sife Mwanza.
We met in Dola.
Yeah, at the studio.
He came over to record some songs and that's how we met. How we met.
Hi, this is John Mumba.
Chilesha Bwale Mumba. Well, we met at church 2013. It's an interesting story.
How we met on Lifestyle.
Lord, you got me saying wow, wow. And now know
how, This is Mr. and Mrs. Mubonda. She's Teresa. I'm Patrick Mubonda. I think that was 2008, and that was in Mongu. She had come to work in Mongu under Beachwood Engineers, and I think there was one time when she came to church. Apparently, I think that was when she joined the praise team, and I saw this beautiful girl, James, singing in the praise team, and I mean, because of her voice, I think she got my attention. Then I also looked at the appearance. I was like, wow, this must be a God-given, lady. And apparently, we were having a youth conference. I was in charge of the youth. So we had Pastor Oscar Bumba. So before I even approached her, I remember talking with Pastor Oscar. I was like, how do you look at her? And he was telling me, but what is your heart telling you? So, and actually when I told him, he thought I'd already discussed with her. So he was telling me, no, just go for it. Just go, go ahead and discuss with her, and So then I told him, but this person doesn't even know that I'm actually interested in her. So that's how the man encouraged me. Say, no, you can approach her and talk to her. But before I could do that, somebody claimed to have known her very well and told me she's engaged. So, but I wasn't convinced with that. So that's how I think we started talking on SMS. And apparently I discovered she wasn't even engaged. She wasn't seeing anybody. And the rest is history.
I was based in Lusaka first. Then a project came forth at work. That's Beachwood Engineers. We're doing a water reticulation program. So I had to go to Mongo. And I was the office manager there. So when I reached Mongo, I didn't know anybody. Okay, there was my sister there. But most of the times I would spend my times alone. And that's how I went to Bread of Life Church. Because apparently here I used to be with Winners Chapel. So when I went to Mongu, I went to Bread of Life Church. And as a Christian, when you go somewhere, you join the fellowship, and I joined the praise team. But before I joined the praise team, there was this guy whom we were working together with. Actually, I had already joined here. We were working together. And he was telling me, do you know Mubonda? Like, Mubonda? And the name was sounding strange. That name. No, he likes you very much. He's from your church. He's the usher to the reverend. You see him. So I didn't really bother, because when I was coming from Lusaka, I was coming from a heartbreak that, it was just a few weeks before my wedding and we broke up. So I was not ready for anything. So one time I just see this man come after the service. No, you sing very well. I want you to groom the youth praise team. I was like, oh, it's fine. Then I asked him, what's your name? He said, Mubonda. I was like, that name sounds difficult. Don't you have another name? And then he said, I'm Patrick. Apparently I scared him off. And then as time went on, we kept on chatting, like he said. And one time I was chatting with my friend. I think that was God was trying to deliver me from singleness. I was chatting with my friend. No, we were encouraging each other as singles, because we had delayed getting married. So I was telling her, no, let's just wait. God is going to give us our husbands. We were encouraging each other. Accidentally, I sent that SMS to him. And that's how he got to know that I was single. Because somebody had told him that I was engaged. And apparently, that person who told him, he was right, because The time I was in Lusaka, I was engaged. Everything was even announced in church, but things didn't work out. So when we were encouraging each other, God made it that SMS should go to him. And when he received that SMS, immediately he called me. And that time he had traveled for work in Livingstone, and he proposed me on phone. And I told him, okay, we'll come and talk. When you come back, you come and tell me face to face if you really want me. And that's how it was. When he came back, we were having a youth conference. At the time, Pastor Oscar Mumba had come in, and he proposed. And you know, when you are ready for things, and because I would see him carry Reverend's Bible, I was like, hey, this cheap dude, you know. Okay. And he just captured my heart. I was like, so when he told me when he came back, I was like, hey, who am I to refuse? But I gave him a condition. If you want a relationship with me, it's marriage. So it's either choose whether you want us to get married or if it's playing, please leave. And here we are today.
Actually, the engagement, first of all, we had it at the youth meeting. We're having a youth meeting, and that's where I engaged her from. About the ring size, I think in Africa, sometimes when we talk about engagement, you first propose, you even, the person knows that, oh, today I'll be engaged. It's not like it's a surprise. So, and also sometimes playing with their fingers, somehow got to know that, oh, my last finger is what is the same size of this finger where we put the engagement ring. So, though at the youth meeting it was a surprise, she knew that I was going to engage her, but not at the youth meeting. So we're having this youth meeting on a Saturday, and I think the youth chairman had called me to go and say a few remarks. So I just went, and because she was leading praise and worship. So I just went and knelt down in front of all the youths. And the church was packed. So, and we had our engagement there without any relative, without just the youths. And it was a very powerful one because I had all the support from the youths.
For the dress, what happened was, before the wedding, after he just engaged me, I started looking for dresses in Mongo, and Mongo is a rural place. I couldn't find any. I came to Lusaka. I went shop by shop because I had a particular design that I really wanted, and I wanted 2 wedding dresses for the church and the reception. I went round. I couldn't find anything. Now I have a friend, Patience. She had gotten married the previous year. So when I went to her place, I was complaining, I can't find the dress that I want and what. So she was like, okay, try in my wedding dress. So I went, I wore her wedding dress and I looked stunning. And that's how I got her dress. Now for the second dress for the reception, I checked, I couldn't find anything. So when I went back to Mongo, there's this lady, she's a business lady, she usually goes to Dubai. So I gave her the description and she went and bought the exact wedding dress. It's a top and a straight skirt with a tail, and that's how she got it. So the challenge was I didn't see what I wanted really that would follow my shape, because I was so tiny and I really wanted to show that tininess because I knew one day I would be big the way I am.
She's changed.
I was tiny.
Wow. Hey, I think for every man really was at a wedding. I couldn't believe that actually that day was my wedding day, seeing this lady in a wedding dress. I think it was a dream come true because I had really been praying to God that I should have a very good wedding. And seeing her walking down the aisles, I think it was, for me, it was a miracle. It was a miracle, one, because before she said yes to my proposal, just like she said that, she was coming from a breakup, I was actually coming from a disappointment. The lady that I was supposed to, that I had actually almost wanted, that I almost engaged, disappointed me, and somehow I'd given up on marriage. I was like, no, I think these ladies are just the same. So with her, maybe because of her spiritual life, I was so encouraged. So seeing her walking down the aisles was a dream come true. It was a miracle for me, and I really got encouraged. It was less than a year.
I remember he proposed me on 4th October.
Yes.
I didn't respond by then because he had traveled out. So when he came back in December on Christmas Day, that's when I said yes. And then he went to my price place. I remember the dates very well. 25th August 2009, and come 14th November, we got married. So it was less than a year. This year will be our 12th year. We have 2 children. That's Samuel and Shakaina. Though before we had Samuel and Shakaina, we had a bit of some challenges with conception. Not conception, we would conceive but would lose the pregnancies because of a previous operation that I'd had for fibroids. Yeah, so we stayed 4 years without a child. But God blessed us. Today we have Shakaina and Samuel. What I appreciate about Mr. Mubonda is, one, first and foremost, I would like to say, when you're going through a breakup, don't cry so much. Sometimes it's God allowing it for you to meet the perfect person. With my personality, I'm a jovial person, outgoing, noisy. He's calm. What I appreciate about him is he has taught me to be the woman that I am today. He's understanding. There are few men that are understanding. Few men that can stay with you, 4 years, you are busy miscarrying, and he's not gone out to have a child elsewhere. He's a man that has pushed me, even my ministry, my singing ministry. He's the one that has been the force. I reached a stage where I said, I've given up. But he's always there to encourage me. He's a loving man, understanding man, and he's a calm man. I'm noisy.
Okay.
There are times that, in marriage there are differences. You differ. But later you sit down, maybe you would have just said 2 words. So if I had somebody who was like me, I'm telling you, wouldn't have gone anywhere. But I thank God for him. He's such a sweet man.
She's very loving and caring. Like I had said that I was in a relationship before her. I think there are things that you see different in her. There are certain things that you see in her which are different from other women. One, her spiritual life. In my life, there was a time when we had a very big challenge where we had lost everything, and there are very few women that can stick with you. We got swindled people's money because I was doing business then before I was working, and people, the people that we owed got everything that we had, and I was to blame because of maybe the way the business was done. But there are very few women that can stick with you when you are going through such moments, and she stayed with me. I remember one of my relatives actually told her, say, your husband will be arrested. I don't know what you're still doing here. Just pack your things and go. But she actually differed with that relative of mine and said, this is my husband. I'll be with him no matter what. I'll still stick with him. So really I appreciate her patience, the love, I've talked about it, and the care. She's very supportive. Even when she's saying that I've always been there for her music. But I think today we have achieved a lot. I think it's through her support. She's always there to push me. Like she's saying, she's quite pushy. and this person was very calm. So there are times even when we're maybe looking for businesses because we do business alongside work, but she's quite a force.
What has kept our love alive despite the challenges? I think it's the love and the commitment. And above all, it's God. It's by the grace of God. It's just been God. Because I can't really point really to say, I did this and this is what has kept us. It's just by the grace of God. I'll leave that to you.
Really?
Yes.
Conflicts. I think when we just got married, I think conflict would be a difficult thing actually to handle for us, because I think every new marriage, before you get to know one another, I think you would have unresolved issues. So I think with time, I think we got to know one another. I've got to understand her. She's also, I think, now learned. I think she's now known me. There are times when would differ, but maybe sometimes you wouldn't want to resolve those issues right there when the iron is hot. So would sometimes allow maybe some time to pass until we cool down. Then we can sit down and resolve that issue.
From my part, like what he said, mostly we realize that every time we'd resolve issues right there and then, we would quarrel, almost fighting. But if we give it time, sit down, look at the issue from, where you look at it genuinely and say, what was my mistake in this issue? And then after that, we come and sit down and talk about it. But the most thing that has really helped us to resolve issues is, first and foremost, before we start talking about issue, he would say, baby, I love you. Despite what we're going through, I love you. That just melts my heart if I'm angry. And even as we resolve out, know that even if we've quarreled or differed like this, my husband loves me. And what I've learned is, in marriage, the first thing to do before you bring out an issue that is really hurting, appreciate your friend first. Tell them what you appreciate about them. Tell them about their strengths, because when you just rush straight to telling them their weaknesses, men are naturally egoistic. They would want to defend themselves. So I've realized that the first thing I pamper him. I make him feel good. At times when you are angry, you can't pamper, but you control yourself and begin to tell him nice words, and then from the nice words, as he feels good, that's when you hammer. My word to them, I usually attribute everything to the Lord Jesus Christ. In that time, I had told myself I was not ready to meet anybody. I did not want to have anything with anybody. The only thing that I decided to do was to seek God. Little did I know that in that aspect of seeking God, God began to work on my weaknesses. Because on the previous breakup, I wouldn't blame it on the other person. There are things that I needed to work on, even myself. So it's from that area that I came to realize my weaknesses, and I came to know that when I go in a relationship, it's not about the other person being perfect. I have to perfect things myself and also leave room for the other person. So for the person who's waiting, they're from a heartbreak and they're wondering what is happening, the key is seek God. Find solace in Jesus. And it's from there, He will help you rediscover yourself. Don't rush into another relationship. No, rediscover yourself. And don't heap the blame on the other person that you broke up with. No, sit down and look at the mistakes you made in that relationship and learn from those mistakes. So that even as you move into the next one, it will be you going there as a fresh person. I don't know. I've had 9 miscarriages. I had 5 before my son, and then I had 4 before my daughter. Jesus kept me going. On my own, I wouldn't have made it. It was not easy. It was heartbreaking. Sometimes you give up on yourself. We almost adopted, actually. But Sometimes when I sit and look at it, I even wonder, was it me who went through it? I'll just say it's Jesus. I have nothing much to say. Jesus helped me.
It wasn't an easy thing because you have lost a child. Also, your wife is in pain, you know, because most of them should be in the hospital. So it wasn't really easy for me. But I think, yes, we believe in God, we believe in Jesus Christ, but there are times when you still remain, when you're a human. Yeah, and sometimes it will be tough, but at the same time, again, you try to seek help from the Holy Spirit through praying, and at the end of the day, you find comfort. And maybe the other thing during the same time of miscarriages, I would say that I saw a miracle take place, because I remember the last miscarriage that she had before us having a child, before we first had our son. I remember there was even one where a doctor actually gave her wrong medication when she was pregnant for the twins, and we ended up losing that pregnancy. So the second time when she got when she conceived, I remember we had this Toyota Cresta car. So I think she was in the hospital by then. She was bleeding. So I got to park that car just at the hospital because I think I had gone to buy some things. So I got to park the car, and lo and behold, this gentleman also comes to park his car next to mine, which looks exactly like mine. And this man comes and I'm very new in Mongo. Where do you get spares for this car? So we began to discuss about cars. Then later he asked me, so what are you doing here? I said, my wife is actually in the hospital. We've been having miscarriages. She's about to have one. So this man introduces himself as a doctor. And he says, let's go together. We see your wife. And when we go to the ward, he pulls the file and looks at the file. Then he says, you mean all these years doctors have not been able to detect the problem? I said, yes. And the man says, the problem is this. And we can resolve it. And that's how the man just wrote a prescription. I remember even when I was writing the prescription, I was doubting because I needed to travel to Lusaka to get the medication. So we traveled back. That was administered to her, and the pregnancy stayed until we had our first son, our first child. So what I can say is, I think God was just involved in everything that we're going through. So I would just put everything into the hands of God. Even the time of the same miscarriages, I think God gave us the drive. God gave us the encouragement. God kept us, and in His own time, He brought somebody who could actually help us.
First October,
22nd September. We celebrate hers, then mine.
Birthdays being a big deal. Sometimes no. It just depends on, there are times that you have enough, the times that you don't have. You just tell each other, happy birthday, I love you. And maybe at the time when you would have, you would buy for each other anything. But mostly, I usually, personally, on his birthdays, I make sure there's something for him. Because he had taught me from childhood, nobody had ever done something for him on his birthday. So I've taken that as my mandate to make him happy for the rest of his life, that on his birthday every time, I'll be doing something for him. He does cakes. Sometimes he takes me out. When you don't have, you don't have. You accept it, live within your means. Yeah, even just a kiss is enough.
Birthdays. For me, like she said, no one ever did anything for me when I was growing up. So I've actually told myself that I must do what was never done to me. So even for her, I try at least every birthday I must at least get her something. But the ones that we never miss, or the ones that we always make sure that we do something for the kids.
My names on social media are Teresa Liswani Mubonda. That is my account, and just the page, just type Teresa. Yeah. And then on YouTube. Yeah. They can get us on 0977 727484, and his number is 0975 311 723. My name is Teresa Liswani Mubonda.
My name is Patrick Mubonda.
And this is how we met.